The shared responsibility model is a very important concept. It helps us understand who's responsible for what. Now, this is important because we as customers are hosting infrastructure with Amazon Web Services. So, the virtual machine that we own is hosted on the physical server that is owned and maintained by Amazon. In that case, if your virtual machine or your EC2 instance get compromised, who's responsible for that? So just in case there's an attack on your data and you lose your data, what's going to happen to it? Who will be responsible to trace and track it back? In this lesson, we're going to talk about the shared responsibility model. What is you as a customer responsible for, and what is AWS responsible for when it comes to security and compliance. Traditionally, in your data centers, well, you are responsible for everything, right from physical security, who gets access to the building, how the building is secured, are you using multi-factor authentication, or even the written policies is something you are responsible for. Think about setting up your own network, cabling, security patches, and all of that in terms of hardware, software, storage, operating system, and everything that goes along with it is something that you are responsible for. But now, when it comes to cloud, the whole paradigm of this responsibility also changes. So, we need to understand as a customer what will be my responsibility if I start hosting my EC2 instances in AWS. Let's zoom in here a little bit and understand this better. Now, if you look at the orange part here, of course, that's Amazon, and Amazon says that this orange part is my responsibility. That includes the compute, storage, database, and networking and everything underneath that. So Amazon will be doing the patching of your firmware if they got to do it. They will be running the security patches, ensure that everything is logged in the data centers. The storage mechanisms that they have, they're all encrypted and protected. This is something that Amazon's got to do. But what is your responsibility here? As you see in the blue section, all of these components listed here is something that falls under your radar as far as security and compliance is concerned. So the AWS responsibility is about the physical infrastructure. We're talking about the overall AWS global infrastructure, the regions they have, the availability zones, the edge locations, and all the hardware that is associated with AWS is something they are responsible for in terms of security. They are responsible for the hardware to patch it properly, to protect it, ensure that the compute, storage, database, and networking, it's all intact. All the physical components that go along with it, and the software that ensures that the underlying hardware is running properly is also Amazon's responsibility. So let's go back to the same example where we are saying that you got an EC2 instance and you got an application installed on that. So you are responsible for ensuring that the operating system at the virtual machine level is patched and secure. Any data that you have must be encrypted by you. So your responsibility as a client is to take care of the data, encrypt it for both the data in transit and at rest. Any type of network traffic protection is also your responsibility. So you take care of those security groups, you take care of the NACLs, how the IAM users connect to your data. All of these things are your responsibility as a customer. So here there's a clear demarcation of responsibility in the cloud versus responsibility of the cloud provider. Just taking a step back and understanding this better, the physical security, locks, keys, security guards, the biometric security of entering the data center, the physical hardware, all of that is a responsibility of Amazon. You as a customer will have no access to that underlying hardware. And what you are responsible for is the NACLs, the security groups, the operating system, and the patching of your instances, how your users connect to your EC2 instance. How would you like to encrypt the data at rest and in transit is you're responsible for. These are just some of the prominent things that I'm listing down here. It's not an all-inclusive list, but it's always good to go ahead and refer this particular documentation here and then take a closer look at these when you're planning to implement a particular type of infrastructure. Now, in addition to shared responsibility model, we also need to talk about certain security features that AWS provide. For example, DDoS protection. We're going to talk more about those in the next and upcoming lessons, But for now, understand that hosting resources in AWS is just not a one man show. You got to have responsibilities shared between the cloud provider and you. That's all for this lesson now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.